Thank you so much, Dr. Morkos, Dr. Sami, for your invitation. I guess maybe we change it a little bit and talk about, I guess the older I get, the less I talk about neurosurgery as a technique and more about neurosurgery as a way of expressing humanity. We're in the midst of the darkest and the most beautiful parts of the world. War on one sense, and humanity and humanitarianism on the other side. My first exposure to the dark side was when I was 6. This is a painting I made when I was 8, probably, when the Russians invaded Afghanistan. And it was a brutal war, 40 years, more than 40 years ago. I come from a beautiful, beautiful country right next to Iran that has a deep, deep sense of culture and history and kindness. I was born to 2 doctors. Well, everybody in my family, they were politicians except my parents. They're both OBGYNs, and like me, trained outside of the country. Afghans, you see, are inherently very, 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 very hospitable. You come into an Afghan's home, and it's your home. They give you everything until you take from them. Then things turn bad, and war starts. This is during the Russian invasion, brutal, brutal, like I said, and those wars haven't stopped. I remember the first day of the invasion, it was probably 6.5 at the time, tanks on the street. My parents, myself, we were hiding in the basement. They let the kids out of school, go run home. My brother was missing. My brother was missing, and everybody's, oh my God, do we go out? There's soldiers, there's fighting, there's planes overhead. Just scary point in your memory that you never, ever forget. 6 months after the war started, we dressed like the local Afghans and escaped in the back of a pickup truck with multiple other families. And just like the refugees left, whether you see Mexico or every parts of the world that you see. And that was me, my father, my aunt, and my older brother. I was happy. My brother was wise enough not to be happy. I remember one night during this trip through the mountains, coming to a place where there's no light, little hut, people gathered around the fireplace, and in the midst of darkness, the sky was so bright, with the most beautiful stars everywhere. In the midst of darkness, there's so much beauty around us. Just have to look for it. Just have to find it. You eventually made it to Germany, from Afghanistan to Pakistan to fake visas to figure out how to make it. And all of us lived in this little hotel room. The Germans were very good to political asylum refugees at the time. But as a kid, you also feel that you don't belong. I used to play couldn't afford toys, so I used to play in a little store, and was always humiliated as they threw me out. You know, child, no matter where they're from, is raised with love and care and a sense of self. And when you rip that, you treat them like it scars for life. You eventually, beacons of light. My parents trained in Moscow. They met these Americans who were also OBGYNs, doctors, just like them, found us in a hotel, in that same hotel in Germany, and sponsored us to come to the United States. This is my first job as a 9-year-old at the Vincent Sun commercial. I used to work for this newspaper to make money. They featured our family. These people gave my parents an opportunity to work at their clinic with them, teach them English, prepare them for the TOEFL. Doctors helping other doctors, human beings empowering other human beings, teachers in this small town came and taught me learning English. I don't think I was paying attention. I'm not even looking at the book. But all through life, you find these beautiful things in life. And I was raised by these two beautiful people. This is my father and my older brother. In a world where your parents are working multiple jobs, you always strive to hold on to somebody who cares about you and who can show you the path. This is Roberto Harros and Dr. Morcos and I. When I was in Miami with them for 14 years. I trained with them. And I immersed myself in neurosurgery. I loved every minute of it. All the hours, all the patients, all the things that gave me strength and value as a human being, as a doctor. And the first chance I got when I had some strength, I went straight back to where I came from. This is landing in Afghanistan a long time ago. Seeing the beautiful streets. Oh, it's not fancy. It may not be the best of the modern thing, but it's alive. It's alive with good people and good energy and kindness and just full of life. And I found some of my brothers there that are actually, I couldn't log on, but they're listening on the live stream. And this is Professor Manauri. He's the guy that started a training program. Zamanuddin, who's now residents at the time, lived in the hospital, opposite sides of the country, different religion, different ethnicities. Afghanistan is a mix of people, but all together. And I operated with them. I used to go back and forth, take instruments. And once they understood I wasn't a typical Westerner coming in to do some thing from them, they, like you said, broke bread with me and became trusting of me. And I met people. This is a nurse that worked with my mother, the sense of community. This is a 16-year-old boy with an epidural hematoma who had to pay 2 months' salary collected to go to the opposite side of the town and wait for a Pakistani emergency room person to read his CT while he was herniating. The brother, an 18-year-old, grabbed the scans and brought him to the ER. And those residents operated better than I could have ever operated. And then people started bringing their children to me. You see those hands? Those hands look just like my children's hands. And she kisses just like my kids. Beautiful, beautiful people that love their children just as much as we do, if not more. I left Miami. My brother and my father sent me to Boston to learn more and to live in my own house. And I learned not to blame the symptom. Things doctors always, the result of the war, the refugee, the this, the terrorist, that. It's the background. What developed a hospitable country with the kindest people in the world? What is it? It's things that are deeper than the symptom. So during COVID, I started to focus again with some wonderful people in Afghanistan, started to map out different parts of the countries. Those residents are now chiefs of these areas. These are major public hospitals that people can get to within a 2-hour time period. And they're academic and they're public. They're free to everybody. And when the Americans, I don't know where I belong, pulled out in my name, the country collapsed. But the light didn't. I met some amazing, amazing people. Pakistan, Japan, India, Gail. This guy's in Afghanistan with no light and a phone. On Zoom technology, boom. I no longer had to get in a plane and I'm there. And then the residents, they had their own residents now texting me. Oh, we need this. This is happening. There's a bombing, this and that. And there's Afghans here, Afghan Americans that were born here, that within 3 days raised me money. All students, young people that I do what Morcos and Harros did for me. I go talk to them. I give them love. I give them a little bit of the direction or the failures that I've made. And we use that money to something that you created, the foundation. And with wonderful people and a train of light, we were able to get the instruments into the country. This is Dr. Pirzad, the president of the Afghan Neurosurgical Society, who knows you, Dr. Sami, and wanted to say a few words. It's a woman neurosurgeon. The instruments weren't the point. It was human connection, that we weren't there to take or abuse or be a war profiteer, but to actually spread humanity through medicine. We then connected all of these major hospitals via internet and started educational programs. This is Joaid, a Malaysian neurosurgeon, the brightest guy, wonderful guy, goes in and out of the country to teach, and never forgot about that little girl. What does a vascular surgeon have to do with hydrocephalus and shunts and so forth? This is Ben War. And him, along with Neuro Kids, are trying to help us get cameras into the country. We've already sent multiple smart glasses into the different regions and can turn on the screen and don't even have to walk them. They're beyond talented. You just connect, and you can now get into the operating rooms. He's operating in Jalalabad. Joaid is in Malaysia. He's a 9-year-old boy. That little girl I couldn't help, but or people can help. You know, that poor little girl I couldn't do anything for. Afghans are very resourceful. This guy pops up into Brigham. And so I snuck him in, just like I was snuck out. And he had trained in Russia, and I taught him one thing on how to do thrombectomies. Within a couple of weeks, he was pulled the catheter. And it's not the thrombectomy that's important. It's the systems of care that go into stroke, and how you triage people, and how you can get them into a hospital quickly, and how you can change an entire system, as Gail says. Can go from stroke, those same processes can work on trauma and pediatric emergencies, things that mar this country. The highest death rate for young men and children in the world. And maybe technology and these nodes of light will allow us to bridge. Maybe 5 years down the line, will help develop robotics that can control things from here as Wi-Fi speeds get faster and faster. And maybe we can use the same technologies that incinerate half of my country and so many of my people to do good, to do humanity, to spread the light. Wars continue. Gaza, Ukraine, Lebanon. I know this weighs very heavily on my brother. But there's also light. There's also good people that sacrifice everything, whether it's David or Muhammad or Rocco, whether it's in Syria. There's good people amongst us that believe in good. It's so important to connect that. That light doesn't shine brighter than this guy. Has anybody ever been in the room with this man that they haven't felt special? That they haven't seen and sensed the lightness? You know how you develop that type of lightness? From actually seeing darkness. The things that he has seen as a young man driving himself from one side of Lebanon to another in the midst of a war just to get an education. A Marine whose head he held to save his life that catapulted him into neurosurgery as a resident. And the doors, the love that he spreads to everybody around. You are my mentor, my brother, my Habibi, and I love you always, always will follow. You are my North Star. Boston will be a special, special, special place for him. Yes, it's the Neurosurgical Society, and yes, it's president, but his intention to unite us, special people around the world, the people that he's invited to collectively come together. Darkness is everywhere. You don't need that much light to light the pathway. You don't need that much. Just the connection of people and people like me flourish from that. And if you want to come to an Afghan's home in Boston, Professor Al-Mefti and the rest of us, Nirav and Linda, we're putting on a beautiful, beautiful symposium, a gathering space, an intimate place where we can share things. With Gail's help doing the Boston Declaration right before the double mass. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much.